looking at all these, the gold records and platinum records and stuff in the world, it seems like, does that ever intimidate you? I mean, you come in here and the idea of living up to expectations, and the record company expects you to sell X number of records, and your fans want every record to be a real good record, and you, I guess, want to make sure each thing is as good or better, you know, perhaps than the last one. So I think this would have a comforting effect, that all the success and the attention you've gotten, but also, does it intimidate you in a different way?
Maybe it does. I'm not real sure. I don't come in here very often. This is like the past, as far as I'm concerned. I see these things, and I know that it's past. It doesn't pertain to what I do now. I still have to concern myself with the song that I'm writing today, with the record that I'm making, with the performance that I'm doing tonight. These are the things that you really think about. This is past, and it's wonderful, and you know, I couldn't be happier about it. But
what's always impressed me about your career, and I remember seeing you at the Troubadour back when you were doing Solitary Man and Cherry Cherry in the 60s, when you were just, I guess, starting over again.
I'm still doing Solitary Man and Cherry Cherry.
That's good, because they're good,
I love
good songs. Most people in rock seem to, once they have success with something, they hold on to that. They'll ride it out as long as, because they're afraid if they change, the public's not going to like what they do next. But you kept changing. I mean, you've walked away from record companies. You had new challenges with different record companies. You went to Vegas. You went to Broadway. You went into films. What is it that gave you the? Is that confidence that you were able to do that, or is it in a sense that you're striving for greater recognition, or you know that if you stick in one thing, you're going to bore yourself? What is it that kind of enables you to keep moving ahead like that?
I suppose there's a certain amount of restlessness involved in that, and also. I spent a good number of years trying just to get accepted on a very basic level from music publishers in New York. And when you do that for 8 years and you experience a lot of rejection of what you do, when you finally do get the chance to do things, the tendency is that you're willing to take the chance and to do them. And so when an opportunity to write a score for a film comes up, of course I want to do it, you know, even if it means that I'm forced to act in the film and, you know, learn about that. Yes, I want to do that, and to do a special on television is another kind of experience, and Broadway and Las Vegas, they're all new experiences, and I want to do them. And there's so many things I haven't done yet.
In those years back in New York when you were working, I guess, in Tin Pan Alley, trying to write songs for other people, what led you to that? What was it that first was exciting to you about expressing yourself in a song as a child? Do you remember when music first became important to you? Was there a record, or was there an artist that you kind of like really responded to?
I'm sure there were. I listened to radio. I had a few records when I was a kid. I had a few Weavers albums. Those were the first albums that I ever owned. There were all kinds of people who had influences on me. But I don't know. I never thought seriously about writing or being in music until I got into my teens, and I started to study guitar, and then I started to study piano a little bit, and I started to write songs almost immediately. I never thought about it, never planned on doing it. It just happened and came, and I loved it. I loved doing it. And I haven't stopped since then.
What was it that made it exciting to write a song? I mean, was it a sense of stating identity, or was it a sense of kind of gaining popularity with friends, you know, around? Or was fame kind of like the goal? Or what was it that made you do that versus try, you know, write novels or play baseball, or, you know, what else you might have turned to at that time, do you think?
I don't know, but there is something inherently exciting in writing a piece of music. I don't know if I really even thought at the beginning that it had anything to do with my life or was a form of expression. There was just something that felt good about doing it, and I continued to do it.
You were real shy, though, weren't you, as a teenager?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't unusually shy. I'm not the pushiest kind of person, but I had friends, and we went to parties and dated, just like everybody.
What did your family think of when you were, you know, aiming toward being a songwriter? Was there encouragement, or did they want you to do something else?
Well, I kind of split it until I got through college. I went to NYU for 3 years, and while I was there, I was writing and bringing the music around to music publishers. I split that and going to school, and also I was fencing at the same time. So Um, I had three things that I could have done. I could have become a professional fencer, you know, gone into music, which is what I dreamed about, but I never really seriously thought it was possible. I never really did until it started to happen. I just did it because I loved it.
You had rejection, though, as a songwriter, I mean, initially, when you were trying to write for other people.
Sure.
So did you get discouraged and say, well, it just isn't going to work out, and you want to try something else, or what kept you going at that?
I think just the fact that I love doing it.
Even the rejection, I mean, when you write something that you love, and you bring it into somebody and say, well, we don't want to record this, or this isn't what we want, and so forth, I mean, how many times can you take that? You know, it doesn't seem like that's going to eventually be too painful to keep going back to those people and stuff. And,
Well, I thought that they were right. I thought their criticisms of the songs were right, and I was a beginner and I was just learning, and it wasn't discouraging at all.
So there was a sort of maturity you had even at that time. I mean,
Maybe that's what you'd call it. I mean, I was very critical about what I was writing, but certainly people who knew music were even more critical in a different way, and I received criticism for all of those years, and I felt I learned a great deal from it, and it was never discouraging. It was very, very exciting time for me, that whole period, because I was doing what I wanted to do, I think, more than anything else.
was it hard to begin singing? Were you feel self-conscious at first about that? Or?
Not really. Singing has always come easy for me. I've been singing since I was a little boy, long before I started to write. And of course, working as a writer and making demos, making demonstration records, which I made hundreds of, I felt very much at ease in a recording studio and in front of a microphone. I had hundreds of chances to make my own demos and do my own songs. So it was all part of the learning experience, and singing was a natural thing for me, and I've always sung. If you're out here long enough, eventually you want to put your toe in the water and see if you can do it. And from a point of view of a performer, knowing about films and learning about that whole process, I think it's important. This whole experience of making The Jazz Singer was an extraordinary experience for me. I still haven't absorbed all of it. It was one of the greatest learning experiences I've ever had, not only in a creative way, but also in a very personal way. I was forced to do things that I had never done before, including finding the discipline to work certain hours every day, which is basically what the movie business is all about. Learning to work for long stretches of time, learning to memorize pages and pages of dialogue, and to be able to do them with some kind of confidence. It was quite an experience, and I think it was good for me also.
When I saw The Jazz Singer, the whole idea of the identity crisis of the person struggling against different cultures and trying to find a balance for himself, I was thinking, Am I Said would have been a perfect song for that film, you know, with a slight variation. And then after a while, I realized Love on the Rocks, in a sense, expresses some of that same emotion. I mean, it's that person just trying. Because I think of Love on the Rocks not so much as a love song to somebody, but as almost a performer talking to the audience, saying they need you and they want you, and all of a sudden they turn their back on you. So it's like this constant struggle for affection in that way. Do those songs have any? I mean, is Love on the Rocks kind of a parallel song in any way to you with I Am I Said?
I think in a sense it probably is, but it's really for the ear of the beholder to interpret that. It is. It's kind of a lost song, you know. Put that in my category of lost. So I'm anxious to get out in front of a live audience again. I felt very, very much caged while I was doing this film. I wanted to get out. I wanted to do the music. As a matter of fact, they let me off one afternoon to work with my band, and when I came back to the set, I was so upset. It was the first time in 5 weeks. I said, you know, enough of this acting already. Let's do some music. And of course, all the scenes are planned in on specific days and so on and so forth. But I was anxious to get back to the music, and I am now. I want to get back on stage. I want to get back in front of an audience. As soon as I've recuperated from this experience, I will go out.
You used to talk about, you read a lot of books, Gershwin, Stephen Foster, to kind of see how they if you learn anything from the way they lived, not so much the way they wrote and so forth, because you've always had this kind of idea of a long-term career. Is that still something in your mind? I mean, did you find something by reading their books, either mistakes they made or good moves they made that kind of gave them that longevity?
Well, first of all, Stephen Foster died in the Bowery in New York of tuberculosis. He was penniless and almost so that kind of thing you want to avoid. You want to be able to live your life out and create your work and end it all with some kind of dignity. So you learn that from Stephen Foster's experience. I've read books about all kinds of writers and performers because I'm part of that. I want a sense of what that was like and how these people lived and how their lives turned out. I'd like to, I'd like to learn from that. But you just never know. I've been very lucky for the last 15 years. Whether it'll go for another 15 years or not, or people will stand for it anymore, I don't know. It could end tomorrow. If it does, I've had a nice, long, tremendous run, and I couldn't ask for any more than that. But I'm going to keep plugging away. I love writing. It's part of what I do. And I love performing now, too. So that as long as there is an audience out there that appreciates what I do, I'll be out there and working.
One thing is you feel comfortable being a performer on stage and making records and so forth, but somewhere along the line you became a sex symbol too. I mean, women screaming and all that kind of stuff. Does that kind of throw you off balance a bit? That people look at people like that way? Because you were basically kind of a private person for a long time.
Well, when you step out on stage, you're open for everybody's interpretation of what you're doing. And I don't take a lot of it too seriously. I mean, I certainly don't take the sex symbol thing too seriously. I think it's funny and great, if that's part of what it is, and that's fine, whatever gets people into that audience to listen to the music is great. And
you used to worry a few years ago about privacy. If you went on television, if you did a television special, my gosh, you're not going to be able to walk into a drugstore, because like the great tragedy of pop music in our time is Elvis Presley, what happened to him. And so I'm sure that was a worry you had, because you had a great thing going for you. You were this superstar who could still live like a regular person when they walked around. When you made the television shows, the specials and stuff, did that change? Was it where you had to kind of restrict your activity a bit after that?
It did change a little bit. I became more recognizable, and now with the movie, it's even worse. But it hasn't changed enough so that it would affect my life. I live a very normal life, and that's the way I want it.
I've heard people, say that type of thing before, but they end up succumbing to the temptations of living a different kind of life.
Yeah.
Have you been tempted? Is there a time of your life where you could have made the wrong moves or the wrong steps?
I've made a lot of wrong moves, and
I mean, not career-wise, but it kind of more emotionally and so forth, that you think could have made you become more this kind of destructive person in your own life.
I think everybody has those tendencies, to be self-destructive, to be fearful, to be insecure, especially when you're a public figure in one way or another. I've resisted them only because basically I am a writer. I don't need anything else than a pad and a pencil and a guitar. I don't need anything, or that's what I need. I did it for a long time before anybody accepted it, and I'll continue to do it even if people don't accept it anymore, because it's what I do. It's what I love doing.
How about music? Do you listen to other performers? Do you listen to the radio much, or do you go out to see people much? I've seen you at Waylon Jennings concerts and different things around town over the years.
Yeah, I listen to the radio. I listen to records. I have all kinds of albums, interesting new releases, people that I haven't heard before, and I want to hear what they're doing. But mostly the music I'm involved in is my own music. So the music that I would listen to today would probably be songs that I'm working on now, tracks that I've recorded for upcoming albums and records. That's what I do, and that's the kind of music I listen to. When I'm finished with my music, it's difficult for me to go and listen to other people's music. I tend to be very self-focused, very highly focused on what I'm doing.
You seem as comfortable as I've ever seen you. Is that a true reflection of your insides and so forth? I mean, are things going pretty well in your life now, you think?
I think so. I think things are going very well. I mean, the album is being accepted very widely. People seem to love the music on it, so I feel good about that. The album itself was a major production. There were all kinds of orchestral combinations involved in there, from male choirs to large symphonic things to little rock and roll R&B bands, and I feel good about that. I mean, I really do, and the acceptance of the movie has been very strong. It's opening up in England this past week and getting tremendous responses, and so I do feel very good about that. But in another few weeks, that will be past. It'll be past history, and I'll be on to whatever the next project is.
So it'll be another platinum record in here, and the door will be closed.
I hope so. I hope so.
Okay, thanks very much for spending the time. It's always nice to talk to you, and I hope people enjoyed the conversation. Midnight Special will continue in just a moment.